This is a Film Stories original podcast.
We made this.
Everyone to the X-Cast. The truth is in here. I'm your host, Sarah Blair, and welcome back to I Want to Believe Minute, where we unpick the second X-Files movie 1 minute at a time. Today, we're here to explore minute 30, running from approximately 29:00, with a shot of the woman in the car just after she's run off the road, through to 29:59, when Scully makes an allusion to Mulder's size. Joining me to dive into this minute are my regular X-Cast pals and first-timers on I Want to Believe Minute, Cortlan Waters Bartley and Cathy Glinski.
Hello.
Hi.
So we're happy to have you with us on this episode and the next few episodes. It's going to be really fun to talk about the film. But before we jump in, just a quick reminder to follow the X-Cast on social media at linktree/the X-Cast. That's linktr.ee/the X-Cast. And if you're enjoying the show, please drop us a quick 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Also, don't forget that you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/the X-Cast for early releases of episodes, lots of bonus content over the years, and more. Let's get started. So, Cortland, let us know when you first saw I Want to Believe. And then Cathy will get your impressions and first times on the following episode.
Well, I had to double check because I always forget what year it was when I was binge watching the X-Files. But it would have been 2015, so it would have been the year before the revival season 10 started. So it would have been in there somewhere in 2015.
Yeah.
And it would have been a DVD. Would have been the DVD for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. And what were your first impressions of the film?
Let's just say I want to like it. I want to really like it. I think it has literally absolutely everything that I would ask for from an X-File. But when it's over, I just don't love it as much as I want to. I don't know how to better sum it up than that.
That's fair. Yeah, and so you came to the film, did you watch it in order with the rest of the show? So you're binging the show, and then did you come into it and watch it in order?
Yeah, I absolutely watched it all in order.
Yeah. Awesome. Mm-hmm. And what would you rate the film out of 10?
6?
Yeah.
Maybe 7. Depends on the day, probably. When I was watching the movie the first time to prepare for the minutes, it had been a long time since I had rewatched it. I don't rewatch I Want to Believe. I know that there are lots of people who love it. I'm just not one of them, so I rarely watch it. And at first I was super into it, and then once again got to the end and was much less into it by the end. So yeah, it probably depends on the day. Maybe we say 6.5.
Luckily, we're only here to talk about 1 minute at a time. So hopefully these are some minutes that you enjoy out of all this. But yeah, let's dive in. And we will unpick the details of this minute and get started. So this minute begins at 29:00, and we're kind of in the middle of an action scene. And it's when the woman she hits the hay bale, and she thinks that this guy is coming to help her, and indeed He is not coming as a helper. So, Cathy, what did you think about this minute?
At the very start of the minute, I think it was so terrifying. I'm putting myself in her position that she's been run off the road and she thinks she's going to be, and she shouts, I'm okay. And then bam, he punches right through her window. It's so terrifying.
It really is.
It really is. So that's what I think of. I try to put myself in her place. First of all, I'm not driving in that kind of snow. No, thank you.
No way.
But so that's number one worst nightmare is, driving off the road in the snow and being helpless like that. And then this guy smashes through her window. So that's terrifying. And very effectively so. And I kind of love, we're right up close with her and then the camera backs way off and it's still terrifying because we hear the howling.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I like that wide shot because somehow it, like, that distance makes it even more terrifying almost.
Yeah, because it's this tiny place and there's nothing around her. There's no help in sight.
Right.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Just completely desolate and frozen. And, I think it would have had a much different feel if it had been more of an up-close shot with her, from her point of view or from his point of view, and you can get in the action and grappling and all of that, but to put it in the distance and then the way the tires squeal in the snow is just like bone chilling. Cortlan, what did you think?
What I remarked on, I guess also because we're watching it right in such tiny segments, we're watching just 60 seconds of this action scene, but this is a very slow, sinister moment in the snow. Like he takes his time to go up there and kidnap this woman. He's not in a hurry. He knows he's got this, under control. And I think that kind of creeping, very slow, sinister, is scarier. It contributes to the overall terror of that moment in the movie.
Absolutely. And then the wolves howling in the distance is just even more. And I did watch the commentary. So at one point in the commentary, Chris Carter mentions that the snow falling was either created by them on set or digitally. So it's a mix. And then the wolves or the coyotes, the animals howling, that was actually in production. Like he said, whatever that means,
I thought that would mean during the sound editing. They put that sound in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, it would be quite a coincidence,
right?
To actually
I know.
to capture the howling just when you needed it.
Troubling.
Yeah.
Troubling that their microphone picked it up so well.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Where were they?
Right.
I'm scared.
Okay.
Yeah.
So less cool. It was added after, but still chilling.
But important too, because one of the things that comes up, not so much in this minute, but over and over again in the movie, is the sound of dogs.
Right.
So it's a good to have in that kind of background.
Tie it in.
The sound of dogs. Yeah.
And you're right. It does kind of give you that mental connection, whether you realize it or not, which is
right.
Really cool. It's smart.
Yeah.
This is why Chris Carter is a smart filmmaker.
Good movie making. Yeah.
Absolutely. So we have, that's 33 seconds in. That scene ends to this minute. So then we have another, do the math, 27 seconds with Mulder and Scully together in bed. This is the scene we've all been waiting for. Shippers forever. So I really love this scene. And we'll talk about it more in the next minute for sure. But we just get those first few seconds because the camera pans up on Scully. And we think she's alone in bed. Like so many times we've seen before in the show. Lying awake, thinking in bed. And then Mulder says, I can hear you thinking. You're like, oh, where's Mulder? Is he in bed? Oh, what? And then he sits up.
I think it is truly among their best reveals. Just hands down. Like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was perfect.
Seriously.
I want to share with you what the script says at this moment.
Oh, yes.
Because
I'm
it's
ready.
yeah. So in blackness, camera arms up and finds Scully lying on her side in bed, wide awake, staring just past camera. We push in slowly on her, seeing she's carried her emotional day to bed with her, continuing to push when Mulder rises into view from where he lies next to her. We take a few beats, giving the fans a moment to catch their breath.
Every time.
And then the line, I can feel you thinking, I'm sorry I can't sleep, a beat, as we realize they live together in this house. That was all caps, so I shouted it.
Okay, so but that's really important because that was one of the things that I think is really, really interesting about like this scene, but also this whole like introduction period of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is it clear that they live together in that house? Like, I don't think it is.
Oh, see, I
And
thought it
clearly they
was.
wrote that in the script, but I don't think it's that clear. I think it's
I think
purposefully a little
until this minute,
questionable.
Until
Right.
this minute, they left it like, what is their relationship? What's going on with them? Is she visiting him? Kind of like. But I think to me, I took it. They both clearly belonged in that bed, and that's where they spent most of their time. Except I have the question about the next minute, but that to me that was the answer. Like they were leading up to that. We don't know, and then oh yes, of course they live together. Yeah. Anyway, I know that there are people who, I think that the novelization based on the movie says specifically that they don't live together. And I just always thought that was very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not necessarily that cut and dry. For me, I think it's clear that Scully spends a lot of time there.
Right.
Like, I think that this is obviously established and they're in bed together. Like, this is all clear. But I think how much time she spends there is not clear. Like, I think it's not as clear to me, like, that this is where she comes home to, although she does say that later. So maybe I'm overthinking. I don't trust it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, the fact that she says that later just confirmed what this minute meant to me. And they both seem like, that's their bedroom. That's their house. That's their...
Yeah. No, I agree.
But up until this
sure.
minute, we really didn't know. And that's kind of what I love about this reveal. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I agree about that for sure. Yeah. Definitely on the same page about that.
Absolutely. And according to the commentary, again, this said Frank said that this was one of the first scenes that Chris Carter pitched when he was pitching the whole movie. So they had to include that, which I think is really fun.
Funny.
Yeah.
That is really funny.
He was like, how we'll get him to
Right.
watch this.
He knows what's up. He knows his shipper fans.
He did.
I remember seeing that scene in the theater, just like, oh, wow. It was like, it takes your breath away because there he is. He's right there. He's with Scully. He's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it alone, and there were only like 3 other people in the theater. And so I was just like freaking out all by myself. And I was like,
Yeah.
did you see where I didn't have anybody
Can we
to
plus
fangirl.
pause and rewind, please? There's only 3 of us here. We don't
Just
mind.
want to be like, did you see that? Did they really do that? Yeah.
Oh, I have one more thing.
Okay, tell me. Yes.
The book that we see next to Scully, or next to her pillow, is titled Beautiful Wasps Having Sex, and it's written by Dory Carter. It is an actual book. It's a Hollywood novel. So I think it's kind of funny, but it's like, and it was also described as a psychological thriller. I haven't read it, but I just thought that was interesting that was on her pillow, that's what she's choosing to read.
Yeah. Kudos to Chris Carter for putting his wife's book on the nightstand.
Right.
That's a good husband. Excellent. Cortland, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Nope. I'll save them
Yeah,
for
I
the
know.
next
Next minute's going to be a good one, right?
I'll save them.
So we will wrap up minute 30, and then we will join you next time with minute 31. And I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. I'm excited. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. Until then, trust no one.